Σήμερα το πρωί ο πρώτος ήχος που ακούσατε οι περισσότεροι από εσάς ήταν το ξυπνητήρι του κινητού σας. Μπορεί να μπήκατε στο αγαπημένο σας ενημερωτικό site για μια...
So you heard some sounds. Maybe these were coming from your smartphone. Or you entered the site, or you went running and you had a smartwatch counting your pulse. Or you may have checked your emails, you have paid your bank account, or send a heart to your Instagram friends. Or if you didn't get out from home at all, until now, you have used at least 10 digital products which we did not have 30, 10, or even 10 years ago. They were just science fiction. And they were the imagination of those who designed them and implemented them. But really, how can a product manager think today, or a design director? The next presentation regards the art to create user-friendly digital products. We'll hear two women, Nika, product manager of AI in Google, and Rania Svoronou, design director in IBM, who are going to disclose the procedures, the processes, and thought process behind the implementation of very well-known digital products. If you checked your Tinder profile, let us remind you that many of the speeches of Athens Science Festival will be finishing after 8.
Καλησπέρα σας, είμαι η Μαρίλη.
Hello, I'm Marili, and I'm here with Rania. We're going to speak to you about the art to design digital products in IBM and in Google. What does this mean? When we speak about products, we don't speak about a glass or a book. We mean digital products. You certainly use digital products, and we're sharing our experiences today on this subject. We hope that we can motivate you to study or work in this technology sector. I'm going to start and speak about how can somebody decide what kind of digital products people need. Rania then will speak about design thinking, how a person thinks so that they design user-friendly products. And in the third part of our presentation, we're going to have a Q&A among us. We'll speak about our careers, some advices that we might give to young people, and anything else. So I am Marili. I work with Google. I deal with machine learning products. In other words, voice recognition. Also, I teach data science. I work a lot with data, with statistics. My PhD is informatics. I took this in London, where I had studied. So, Rania, you have the floor. Good morning. I'm Rania Svoronou, design director in IBM. I am in New York today. We have sunshine here. I've worked in the University Art of London, in many universities I have taught in many universities in London. I'm a mentor and I have a graphic design BA and interaction design MA. Let me start this conversation, this presentation. As I understand, you are maybe you're expert in IT or not. So I'll start with the assumption that you know nothing and we'll see how it goes. Let me ask you, do you have some idea and want to think to create something from scratch? First, you need to think of the user. Who are the users of your product? What do they need? Do the users exist? Before we build anything, before we think anything, we need to know why we're doing so. My logic in my daily work is to think, who is this particular person who is going to utilize my product? Their needs, how many these people are. Maybe I just imagine these people and they're out there in reality. This is the value. Can we add value to what we do? Can we add value to these people's lives with our product? Also, before we build the product, we need to make a survey and analysis of all the trends and needs. Many people who study IT, they come to me sometimes enthusiastic and they say, oh, I have this great idea, I want to have a startup and I have to have to go to pitch my idea to VCs, but I discourage them. I say to them, no, wait for a moment, think in a reverse mode. Think about the same object. Get out from the same object syllogism and think whether the other people will need what our ideas are going to produce. Otherwise, it's going to be in a vacuum. Let me give you the example of TikTok, a very popular platform. People can create short clips and videos there for entertainment. They are very short. Until 2018, they had 800 million users per day, billions of values. I'm going to show you a video so that you understand what this is.
TikTok is the new social video app making some serious waves.
I showed you what TikTok is. So the people who built TikTok, they said, oh, I didn't say I have an idea and I'm going to do this. No, instead, they thought, who is the user to use this product? I'll show you that teenagers are the main consumers of TikTok platforms and products. Young people, the Generation Z. So I have to think about these people. What do they want to do? What do they want to share with their friends? That's how we start in a reverse mode. Reverse engineering is important now in our work. We want something to be very fast. We want something to have the opportunity to give music, to have music, to be funny. So the apps gives you the idea, the opportunity to get a user to create viral videos. So we have to have in mind what the user needs. Some other examples are Airbnb, Amazon. Airbnb is a good example. People who created Airbnb did not want to just to rent out flats. They carried out a market research and they found out that many people wanted to sublet their house. In the US, for example, they would see ads saying that I'm going for vacations, this is my house, and if somebody wants to rent it for 1 week, it's available. So they found that this was a increasing trend, and they found that this was a target audience. That's how they built Airbnb. And then they started helping people create nice pictures of their homes that they wanted to rent out and give a professional appearance to their ads by providing a template for this. Another example is Amazon. And they said, instead of going to the bookstore, we can have a huge warehouse with all the books inside, and you will ask us and we'll bring you the book that you need. And of course, we'll be fast. We need to wait too much, and you don't need to go out to the bookstores. They work online, and they send the books to our homes. Regarding the Nintendo Switch, it's a very well received product. In the beginning, children at home didn't have TV sets or programs for kids. So somebody thought to create a more interactive way for the kids to entertain themselves. So they created a game for the television. That's how there is this specific need that is now covered.
Είναι κάτι το οποίο ονομάζεται το MVP.
If you see here the left picture, when we have an idea, which is, let's say, to build a great car for the whole family, we have to start step by step. We'll have to understand what is the work that we need to do so as to create something, to build something that people will love. If you see here the car, this is the final product. But we cannot say, let's start with the wheels, because the wheel by itself will not give any value to the customer. But on the contrary, we're going to create bicycle, a skateboard. If they like the skateboard, then they will give them a bicycle. If they like it, and so then we give a motorbike, and then we give a car. So we have to manage the need of the consumer. First, we have to find the consumer. Then we'll need to know what kind of a problem we're going to resolve. But we also have to take care to be safe in this path. We don't want to invest too much. We don't want to lose our time. Let me show you a project that we have in Google. If you go to a foreign country and you don't know the language, you see labels here and there. You can just shoot the label with your camera, and then you can see the words in your own language. The IT groups can make miracles, but only as long as they know the needs of the consumers. So in this specific case, we saw many people who do not know the language when they travel, so they need to understand what's going on around them, and then we created this application. We implement this via machine learning algorithms. We have computers that understand language and can automatically translate into the other language. Voice processing systems can give us the helpers, the assistants. that can help us order our food or do some simple tasks. So we have to have the user in our mind when we have any idea. Let me now show you a video from this film Home Alone. We wanted to see how life would be for this boy in the case that he had support by all these products. Maybe his life would be totally different. This is a 2 minutes video, but we are showing it to people because they can understand the innovation through this.
Mom? Dad? Hey, Google, what's on my calendar today?
You have one event called House to Yourself.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Google, add aftershave to my shopping list. Hey, Google, remind me to clean these sheets later.
Okay, I'll remind you.
You bad AC.
Someone's at the front door.
What do I owe you?
Looks like you paid online. Keep the change, you filthy animal. Okay, cool.
Hey, Google, turn down the temperature 2 degrees. Hey, Google, begin Operation Kevin.
Operation Kevin underway.
You will get a sentimental feeling when you hear
Gotta get out of here before somebody sees us.
what we thinking. Cause with vows of party.
Οπότε βλέπετε λοιπόν ότι με το product management
So you see that product management can give us solutions to problems of real people and make their lives better. My last slide shows the product management end-to-end process. These are the 8 steps. I'm going to describe them very shortly and then I'll give the floor to Rania, who is going to speak about number 6, how we design products. So, product management. First, we need to have ideas. We have to think of many things and the users. Who is going to use this? Second, from all our ideas, we have to be rational and realistic and say, yes, we have excellent ideas. But what is feasible from all this? Third, we check our ideas so as to see which is the best. We get some users, we lock them in a room, and we ask them, would you like this or that or the other? So we can understand which one is going to be more useful for them. Number 4, marketing strategy. We think how we're going to sell our idea so that people can adopt it, love it, and use it. Number 5, business analysis. We're going to see, okay, how much money can we make out of this idea? Number 6 is the essence, product development. This is where technology gives us the outcome. The designers, the engineers, the technologists sit together and think how to give a solution to the problem. For example, when you pay for your pizza, for the delivery pizza, you will need to know how the user is going to pay. Number 7, test marketing in the market, and 8, commercialization, so that people will start using our product. If you want to know more about product management, you can find me on the Instagram. This is my name, and I'll give the floor right away to Rania, and she's going to speak about number 6, design of a product. And then we'll have a discussion so we can speak about our careers, our experiences. So, Rania.
Thank you very much. Let's start what with what we mean by using the word design. It's a specific notion. If we go to Google and see where a designer is working, we will have numerous pictures in the next slide showing someone dealing with colors, fonts, shapes. That is what we have in mind about visual design. But what makes the difference in design is empathy. Because, first of all, we need to understand the user, the target group, what problem we try to solve, and then try to create a product, some designs, etc. First, we need to understand the context. This is a more relevant picture of designers today, what I actually do today. We talk to users, we make market research, as Marily said earlier, or with Airbnb earlier, they took their cameras, they took pictures, etc. So we discuss with people in order to understand the main points and what we need to do. So the users, it's not us, it's not our parents, our friends, it's not the CEO or the customer. You have to identify the user in order to design a user-centric product. And occasionally we hear here and there, but I do know what the users want. No, we don't know. We have to talk to them one-to-one to understand what is happening. And what is design thinking, in other words? What do we mean by design thinking? You will see that we go back to empathy. We do need to understand who the user is. That comes from the design of Stanford School. This is the design thinking process diagram. And we need to take all these steps in order to be sure that we design for proper user. Then we have to do some tests, and then we create a prototype that might be something on a paper, or we can introduce some coding and do something more tangible in order to try it with the users. And then we have the final test. We want to see who the user is, to understand who he is, to find ideas, to test the ideas, and then evaluate the idea, assess the idea. For example, what Marily said earlier about the skateboard. And so designers who come around the table, they try to create a cross-product life cycle. So if design is behind a product, what is the intent behind an outcome? It could be a sofa, a garment, or probably the packaging of a detergent, as you will see in the next slide. It is something that we see, the result, and this is the visual outcome. If this is design, design thinking actually creates the intention using empathy, and then we have the result, which is something beautiful. We need to have a beautiful outcome, but before that, we need to know that we have used our empathy to design it for our users. I will share with you a story which explains what the impact of design thinking is. We have tagged the age in this case. who is design principal. And he had designed an MRI scan which won a lot of awards, state-of-the-art technology. It is an experience. Well, what did he do? He went to a hospital that had this excellent product, and it was at a child's hospital. He wanted to ask doctors how things are doing, how people perceive what he had built, and to his surprise, there was a child next to him and was crying. He goes to the doctor asking him, why does this child is crying? Because he is afraid of MRI, because the room is very dark, the machine looks aggressive, and told him that 85% of children feel afraid of the machine. And so you understand this is not efficient. Doug went there and said, so I need to rethink the experience of this equipment. And what he actually did, he went to Stanford Design School and he got trained in design. He thought of what he can do differently in order to change the equipment. He went to kindergartens and school because the users in that case were children. So he saw children playing, designing, and this is where he understood that I did not design for my user, which is a child hospital. And the picture you see on the right is one of the real pictures, part of the research. So after having changed his design thinking, the machine, the equipment was the same, but the experience changed totally. So he had here a different themes. A pirate ship, one could hear the sea, waves, and a whole experience was created, a whole scenario. Some of the nurses would say, now you will have an experience, you will enter a ship and you will hear some noises, etc. So there was a storytelling behind the equipment. And the jungle, and other theme. And what was the result? 5% rejection. Only too few children were afraid. People, and especially young people, were excited with MRI. And the highlight in his speech was that after a few months, would say to his father, I want to come again tomorrow. So you see, we had children crying at the beginning before an equipment, and after that, the redesign phase, a child would say, I want to come back. This is design thinking I want to share with you. What are some other examples? As Marily has already said, one of my favorite in New York, Uber, which I believe, taxi beat, that I can have my taxi app in my mobile, and we had a disruption of a bad experience, especially in New York and big cities. It was difficult to find a taxi, especially when the weather was bad. Taxi on demand. It is something that was brought by Uber and similar apps. So you had safety. you were well aware when the taxi would arrive, and their other functionalities were applicable. You could be acquainted to the driver, but this through this design thinking, a product was created to facilitate the lives of users. So what can you do? Either you have a product or you are thinking of creating something. Number one, you need to focus on the users, who the user is. If you know or if you think you know, be sure that you have the right target user, the profile of the user you are addressed to. Then you need to build a team with different skills and multidisciplinary skills. You need to break the silos of just saying that I do the design or strategy alone. So you need to have a multidisciplinary team to create something new, and restless iteration. You build something, you test it, and then you rebuild it, you retest it until you have the perfect product ready to introduce. And this is where I will rest my case. And I think it's time for Q&A, Marily, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you, Rania. I liked the example with MRI. I have never heard that before. And now let's have a discussion, Rania. Well, we will give answers to some questions we hear quite often. But if you have extra questions, please send us a message initially. I had spoken to Rania some weeks ago, and he told me her story. Could you tell us your course? We saw your CV, but what you had in mind when you just started? Okay, thank you. Well, because this is the interesting part. Substantially, I have always wanted to do something with design. I wasn't a very good student because I always wanted to draw things, to design things, and I think that my parents supported me in that. When I was 15, I wanted to study design. I was interested in that, and I was lucky to go abroad to study. I studied design, and then I came back to Athens because I really wanted to work in Athens. I started from a printing house, very, very old school, purely graphics, hands-on a printing house, nothing to do with digital. And then I went to some advertising agencies because I was interested in advertising as well. And then I went back to London because I wanted to have some extra studies in the human factor, and I worked as UX designer. Then I worked. Then I went to New York, where I do work with AI, and design has evolved. Generally speaking, has radically evolved all these past years. This is actually the main points of my career. What I want to underline is that when we talk about design, that doesn't mean that it has nothing to do with technology. It is at the heart of technology. If we didn't have the designers, wouldn't have known where to put the buttons, the UX experience. And I'm quite happy that we have this branch, which is part of technology. Respectively, I always wanted to study IT. I wanted programming. I loved programming. I had my brother's book on computer programming, and I tried to implement that, but I did not study information technology. So I studied shipping. I loved shipping, but I always wanted to study IT. I studied shipping in London. I had a postgraduate course in information technology for people who had no background of information technology. Then I had my doctorate. It was difficult back then, but substantially, if you are passionate about something, you can manage and you can succeed. It was pleasant. And I really want to tell people that if you love it, you will do it. Then I had a sponsorship from Google for my master's. I went to Zurich and I had mentors. Mentoring is important. Mentors told me proceed with your master, but start applying to companies before you finish with your studies because this takes time. So they guided me, and I'm very grateful for their advice. I went to Google to London, and I made voice recognition in Greek, and then I started studying linguistics. Computational linguistics was important, and I had to study. Then I went to the United States. I am in the headquarters of Google. I work on various products. One or two things, Rania. What advice do you have for people listening to us? As I understand, there are people either established in their career, but also people who have something in mind, but they haven't done it yet. What is your advice to all those people? I agree with mentorship. To me was very important, and what I will say is don't be afraid of technology. Technology design is something which is beautiful and evolves. If you want to follow this path of design, well, I heard somebody telling me 15 years ago that there is no future in design, but I liked it and I told them that is what I want to do. Occasionally, we might hear people saying, try this because this is not that popular, etc., etc. I think that if you love something, if you want to do something, you have to do it. And of course, you can combine it with something else and become much better. If you have a passion, you are lucky. But if you don't have a passion, try to find one and make it real.
Αυτό θα έλεγα, ότι να μην...
For example, you said that you studied shipping and then you studied computer science. But that was your actual passion. So follow your dreams. That is what I wanted to share with you. Okay, occasionally you have to follow your heart. Yes, that is true. I wanted to also to say that if you have something in mind, you have to take some steps, one step at a time. You want to change a field, you need to learn. You need to find the people around you who have the same passion. You can attend conferences. You can communicate with people who think like you. So you need to start from the basics. And once you start, nevertheless, everything will evolve. And one last question. What are your plans for the future, Rania? And then I will try to answer it, even though I don't have the answer yet. Well, somebody said earlier that if someone asked us, what do you want to do in 2020? I think that reality proved us wrong. But initially, we need to design or plan what we want to do. I want to continue to do what I love doing, which is design and technology. By using technology, you can have more impact. Some people ask me, do you want to be in the United States? Will you be somewhere else? Well, for starters, I want to stay here in the United States to have other opportunities. But the most important to me is to do what you love and be happy. It might sound a bit cheesy, but that is true. The point is to do what you love doing. These are the steps I want to continue doing. I don't know where I will be in 5 years from now, but I want to continue doing what I love. Wow. And I will say something like that. We need to move forward with our career. And I have built a group with Greek women in STEM in Facebook. We offer mentorship because I believe that mentorship is of paramount importance to everyone. Personally, I want to explore new sectors. I need to learn from scratch. Thank you very much, Rania. I liked our presentation and chat. When we work in technology, that doesn't mean that you are a programmer. It's not just that. There is a wide variety of things involved with technology. Thank you very much for the invitation, everyone, and look forward to the following speeches. Thank you very much.